Greetings, this is Lodril and welcome back to Let's Play Lamplight City on PS5. I think I explored this place, I got the hints. Maybe I should have spoken to that guy. We'll see. Got some things about Ruby and about another person, so...
What? Who are you?
I'm Miles Fordham, private investigator. Your butler just announced me.
Oh, of course. Forgive me. I was just, well, never mind. Please make yourself comfortable, Mr. Fordham.
Thank you, Mrs. McDonough.
They look expensive, but I bet they're totally worthless. I feel sorry for the sucker who has to clean them.
I don't know, this place looks expensive.
Just a painting of some boring old aristocrat. Surely this one was called Lady Felicity Euphemia Beaversnatch the Simple. Lord Alfred Edward Shufflebottom the Wise comes to mind when looking at this one.
You're not helping.
This one looks like a Lady Camilla Prudence Wigglewaddle the Grey. I think I'll call this one Lord Edmund Henry Lickspittle the Elder. They look expensive, but I bet they're totally worthless.
Okay. I don't really see anything interesting in here.
I appreciate you seeing me, Mrs. McDonough. I know you must be going through a difficult time right now.
What exactly is it you want from me, Mr. Fordham? I already spoke to the police about my husband's murder.
I just have a few questions of my own.
Oh, very well.
What can you tell me about your husband?
I'll tell you the same thing I told the police, Mr. Fordham. Percival was one of the hardest working members of Parliament. He took his job extremely seriously. The recent election caused him a terrible amount of consternation, as I'm sure it did most people. He took Atwood's loss rather hard.
Did you see much of him?
I beg your pardon?
Surely someone with such an important position in government could find themselves consumed by their work. Did he spend much time at home?
He made it a point to come home and have dinner with me every night, even if he had to return to the office afterwards.
And did that happen often?
At least 3 or 4 times in a week, yes. He'd stay in his office working late into the night. As I said, he was very dedicated to his role.
Sounds to me like she's quite dedicated to hers, too.
Did your husband have any enemies?
He was a politician, Mr. Fordham. Half the city hated him.
Did he ever receive any kind of threats against his life?
No,
Only
that
half?
I was ever made aware of. I have no idea who could have killed him, let alone who could have gotten into his office to do it. He hadn't told me about any meetings or appointments this week either.
Was it his custom to inform you of his work affairs?
Oh, well, I've always taken an interest in my husband's work. He'd often mention initiatives he was working on or people he was meeting, that sort of thing. Nothing sensitive or confidential, you understand. Just conversation about his day.
Can you think of any reason why your husband would have been murdered?
Not really. He was a vocal opponent of the construction of the Gascogne-Chumley Bridge, but I hardly think that would have been sufficient reason to drive someone to murder.
Why is that?
Well, it's just a bridge, isn't it? There are plenty of other ways to get to Chumley.
I meant, why was he opposed to it?
Oh, because the amount of money required to build it is exorbitant. Public funds should be used on roads and buildings that are falling apart. What's the point of having something shiny and new if everything around it is in disrepair?
Well, you need bridges to go from one place to another, so...
How are you feeling, Mrs. McDonough?
My husband of 42 years was shot in his office. How do you think I feel?
Tactful as always, Fordham. How do you do it?
My apologies. Perhaps that wasn't the most appropriate question. Is there anything I can do to help?
You can start by finding the monster who murdered Percival.
Do you know anyone named Shackley?
No, I've never heard that name before. Why?
I saw your husband had a meeting scheduled with him shortly before his murder.
That can't be right. He didn't tell me about that. He always told me about his meetings.
It was written on his office calendar, clear as day.
As I said, I don't know who that person is. Why wouldn't Percival have told me about their meeting?
Why indeed?
Are you familiar with someone named Ruby?
I can't say I am. Who is it?
Just a name that's come up in my investigation.
Sounds like the name of a trollop. Or perhaps a dog.
It's a name. It shouldn't conjure any negative or positive images.
Have you heard of the Justice Killer?
That was the name the police mentioned when they told me about Percival's murder. It's absolutely terrifying to think that one sick person could be capable of such evil. Why is he called the Justice Killer? What justice was done by murdering my husband?
I'm afraid I can't answer that right now, Mrs. McDonough, but I intend to find out. Those are all the questions I have for now, Mrs. McDonough.
All right, Mr. Fordham.
Again, there is no flower, so I'm not sure it is the work of the Justice Killer. Not yet. Can we find Upton? She left and we haven't seen her anywhere.
Therein lies Upton.
Just wondering. Oh, what? Oops. Maybe I shouldn't have told her about our voices. I didn't see that before. So, the leader of the spiritual group known as the Spectre Society was arrested yesterday on charges of fraud. She was exploiting her clients and robbing them of their money. We won't mention that at all?
There hasn't been much need for umbrellas lately.
That's interesting. She goes in various cases too. Expected more to come out of that, but we'll see, I guess. Alright, so we need to know about Ruby and the other guy.
Leave him to his work for now.
I guess not. I'm pretty sure I should go to the police and speak with the head guy, but I want to wait until I try all the other guys first.
Begging your pardon, miss.
How can I help you, sir?
This friend of yours, Ruby, did she know an MP named Percival McDonough?
I'm not sure. Ruby knows a lot of them.
Is that so?
No, I don't mean... It's just... Oh, damn it, I mean my big mouth. She'll have my guts for garters now.
It's all right. No one's in trouble. But I think I'd like to speak with Ruby. Could you tell me where I can find her?
No. You see, she moves around quite a lot. Never in the same place for more than a night or two.
Right. I think she's given us a clear picture of what Ruby does for a living. Normally, I'd be all for pressing this girl more until she cracks, but I like it. I think we'll be able to find Ruby without causing her more discomfort.
Well, thank you for the information. It's been very helpful.
How? Are you gonna look out to the streets?
Thank you, sir.
She did basically say, oh, she's a prostitute, I guess. I think we need to go back to the... yeah. Okay. It is time for the police station.
Fordham, how goes the investigation?
I'm making some headway.
Is that right? I certainly hope so for your sake.
Chief Jacobs. Now there was a leader. The rumor was always that the chief kept a bottle of something in a secret compartment in this cabinet. In Snelling's case, it's probably just water. Every book and file in there is organized to perfection. I'll bet Snelling gets flustered if anything is even a millimeter out of place. You should bump into the side when he's not looking.
Chief Snelling?
Yes, Fordham?
What information do you have on the Justice Killer?
Clearly not as much as you.
I see how this is gonna go.
Well, what do you have?
A list of 5 victims, some information on each of them, and no clear idea what connects them. Until your discovery of the lily at each scene, that was where we stood. While I doubt this discovery will do much to aid in tracking him down, I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt.
You know anything about Percival McDonough?
He's a member of Parliament. I believe his constituency is somewhere in central Kingsland. From the reports I've gotten, McDonough led a rather unassuming life for a politician. He is, however, the first victim who didn't live in Chumley. Either there's a link we've missed, or the killer is changing his method. Then again, since you seem so confident
There's also no flower.
to resolve
Again.
this matter, I assume you'll provide an explanation.
Count on it. What do you know about the Justice Killer's previous victims?
Only what's in their files. All working men from Chumley. That's the only link.
You didn't look further into their personal lives? Maybe they had some social connection.
As I said, the detectives found nothing. You seem to think you can do better, so I'll leave it up to you.
You have to wonder how much more thorough the department's investigations would have been if the 4 men were all rich like McDonough.
Well, we know that 2 of them were beating their significant others, so...
So I see the department is still running like a well-oiled machine.
It is, in fact. But I'm sure Upton has kept you well informed of our activities. Incidentally, the woman accused in the Harris kidnapping is set to testify in court today.
Linda Walker's trial is today? That was fast.
Indeed. Sometimes the wheels of justice grind slowly. Sometimes they spin out of control. She'll be taking the stand within the hour. If you care to
Ooh,
hear her
interesting.
yourself, best get going soon.
Nice. Okay, we'll do that.
Have you got any information on the Redites?
The Redites? That ridiculous gang of troublemakers? Yes, I have some information. What's your interest in them?
A witness is refusing to speak with me unless I can figure out who sabotaged his iron mill.
I see. All I can offer is a list of names of known Redites along with their last known whereabouts. But I remind you that you only have until tomorrow afternoon before this indulgence expires, and I throw you in jail. This seems like a waste of time.
That's my decision to make.
Very well. I'll give you the list when you're ready to leave.
Listen, about Leger's death.
I don't want to hear it, Fordham. What happened, happened. Nothing you can say is going to change my opinion on the matter.
And if I manage to find the man responsible?
The man responsible is standing before me. Even if you manage to find the culprit you let escape, it isn't going to bring Leger back from the dead.
But it will bring closure to the matter.
If that thought is what allows you to sleep at night, then so be it.
What makes him think you sleep at night?
Enjoying your new position, Snelling?
Reaping the rewards for years of hard work and dedicated service. A gratifying feeling you'll never be able to experience.
Oh, I get my gratification in other ways.
I'm sure you do, and I'd honestly rather not know about them.
I need to get back to my investigation.
Yes, time is not on your side, Fordham. Here you are. This is the most recent list of known Redites.
Alright, Clovis Sullivan.
If we're going to track down this saboteur, it might be best to retire to a more tranquil environment. Fancy a trip back to Upton's?
We need to look at the sabotage, guys. Factory explosion diseased. Well, most of them are sabotage, I guess, except one guy that's in prison. We need to actually first go to the trial because I found it interesting. I want to see what she has to say. We know what she did. I wonder if the game is gonna do the whole all the people you arrested before or help get arrested, they go free because X and X happened.
Remind me, Miles, why are we here again? Is this for your own personal satisfaction, or did you expect her to have some useful information?
Shh. Mrs. Linda Walker, you stand accused of kidnapping Charles Harris. What have you to say in your defense?
I I had to see if I could speak with my son Alexander again.
Yes. According to your initial statement, you seem to believe that the Harris child is the reincarnation of your own deceased son.
All the evidence was there. I thought it had to be him.
And in regards to the execution of your plan, you secretly administered a soporific drug to your friend and the Harris family nanny, Mrs. Henrietta Davis? Is that correct?
Yes. I felt terrible about doing it, but there was no other way.
According to your journal, you used a mixture of chamomile and valerian, instructed by a Samuel, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Samuel is a friend of mine. He works at the docks, and he knows all about plants. I asked him what the best combination of herbs would be to put someone in a deep sleep.
So it was your idea, and not his?
Yes, that's right. He only told me about the plants. He's quite the expert.
Bingo.
Wait, you should see his collection of Easter lilies.
Did she just say what I think she said?
Now then, let's turn our attention to the night in question.
Interesting. This Samuel person might be worth looking into. Although we can't waste time searching the docks with just a first name. I'd make a note of it, just in case it becomes relevant later.
Alrighty.
Alright, I've had enough of this courtroom. Let's get back out there. Time's running out.
I hope time is not actually running out. Like there is no time limit or anything. I hate time limits with a passion.
Right, this should be a quiet enough spot to concentrate on finding that saboteur. I just hope Upton doesn't mind you turning her parlor into your own personal study.
I'm sure she'll have no objection. Now, let's have a look at that list again.
Upton has been an amazing friend so far.
Lucian Donaldson. Those initials don't match the ones on the letter. I don't think this person is our suspect. Peyton Ferguson. The initials match those on the letter we got at the Lamplight Depot.
I'd say it's our best bet.
If dead men could cause explosions, let's just say things would be a lot different. This clearly isn't the right suspect. Paris Wilson.
That's all we look
Don't match
for?
the ones on the letter. I don't think this is our suspect.
Okay, so I guess that's all we look for. Basically
Maybe we can rule
the...
out Mr. Sullivan as a suspect. He's Western Vespuccia's problem now.
Okay. So, Peyton Ferguson... Wow. Lot of question marks.
Well, who's this lovely specimen?
Allow me to introduce Peyton Ferguson, known Redite and prime suspect in a sabotage at the Thorbomb Ironworks. I picked him up and brought him straight to you.
Ooh, a saboteur. Just leave him to me and I'll make him feel right at home.
Please find the Justice Killer soon, Miles. Being Giles' prisoner is not my idea of a good time.
Right. I'll leave you to it then.
What was the other things? Let me load here really quick. Should have saved there.
Right.
I'm now.
Peyton.
That's
Lucian.
Nope. Oh, there were other people's residence. But we picked the right one anyway. Okay. Sometimes I go too fast and I miss stuff.
Mr. Mims, A word, if you wouldn't mind?
Yes, what is it?
I found the person responsible for sabotaging your iron mill.
Oh, yeah?
His name is Peyton Ferguson. He's currently at the Bow Street Jail.
Hey, not bad. I owe you one, Detective.
He certainly does.
What can you tell me about Hannibal Kirkland?
I guess we'll take our word for it.
Mostly kept to himself. Real shame what happened to him.
You know if anyone here disliked Kirkland?
Enough to want him dead? Nah. There's the occasional scrap, but everyone around here gets along for the most part. Like I said, he mostly kept to himself. Head down, didn't bother nobody.
You know what he did outside of work?
No idea. Only ever saw him here.
You said Kirkland was a good worker?
One of my best. I knew something was up when he didn't show up for a couple of days. Don't think he'd ever missed work before.
Did he have any personal effects he kept here, or an area where he worked?
He had a cabinet downstairs in the workers' changing area, just like everyone else. You can go take a look if you want, but I don't think the police found anything. Kirkland's cabinet is the third one from the left.
I'll be going now.
Be careful on your way out.
Third one from the left. Did they give us the password? No, they didn't.
Sounds like there's someone in there. If you weren't so bashful, I'd suggest joining in. You could certainly use it. At least having a heater down here manages to keep things warm. I remember the changing rooms at the police station were always ice cold.
How the hell would I know? Maybe I can ask.
Mr. Mims?
Yes?
Would you happen to know the combination to Hannibal Kirkland's cabinet?
No. Every worker sets their own combination. And I don't have
Of course. And if you find one?
If they were to forget it.
Well, I have them come up with some sort of personal reminder. Keep those in a file.
And do you still have Kirkland's?
I'll give it to you as soon as we're done talking.
I'll be going now.
Be careful on your way out. There you go. You're lucky I only clean out my files at the end of the year.
See? I always told you I wasn't disorganized. Just preparing for the future.
Okay. One in the shipwreck. That's 3, right? The red and white. The red plus white. The sign. The sign. Which sign? There is 8 on the sign, I think. There is 3 on the shipwreck. So 3. If this is the sign, there is an 8 there. Or it could be the red and white also. Maybe that's the sign. 0, yeah. 380. Yep.
Empty. That's disappointing.
Not completely empty. There's something at the bottom here.
The Gilded Lily. 12 refined ladies awaiting. All sizes, petite, skinny, buxom. Special. Reserve this handbill and 50 shillings for the normal 1 crown treat. I'm guessing this is where we'll find Ruby.
Seems our friend Hannibal had a few extracurricular activities after all.
Gilded lily, huh? It's a bit suspicious.
Who knew such a pretty flower caused such an inconvenience? The answer to that question is me, in case you were wondering. Flowers bring nothing but trouble. Trouble and snot.
That's enough, Phil. We need to get a move on.
Alright, let's go visit the brothel, I guess.
Well, hello there, handsome. Welcome to the Gilded Lily. Come over here and tell me what kind of pleasure it is.
The flowers are lilies too.
I'm afraid I'm here for business, not
I wonder if all the victims came
that's
here.
just a shame, isn't it?
I'm Miles Fordham, private investigator. And you are?
You can call me Serafina. I'm in charge of this establishment.
You won't mind if I take a look around or ask you some questions?
As long as you keep to the front room, you can do whatever you like. Beyond that, you're gonna have to pay.
Maybe it's best if you leave this part out when you tell Adelaide about the case later. Oh, my virgin eyes. I'm not too familiar with places like this, but I believe that's where the fun happens, if you've got the crowns for it. What a charming statue. Wouldn't she get cold fetching water in that state of undress? Looks nervous. Wonder if this is his first time. You certainly won't find art like that at the National Gallery.
We want to mention the goddamn lilies? Seriously?
I think that room is reserved for paying customers. We won't be able to get back there without a good reason.
May I ask you a few questions, Serafina?
Of course you may, but I can't guarantee the answers will be free.
Do you know anything about the Justice Killer?
I'm afraid not, dear. I don't normally associate with killers.
Are you sure you don't know anything? He's the reason I'm here.
Well, I can assure you I know nothing about your murderer. If the trail has led you here, it's surely just coincidence.
Yeah, she seems awfully certain of that. It's a good thing we don't believe in coincidences.
Did you have a man named Hannibal Kirkland as a client?
I make it my practice not to learn the names of any customers here, Mr. Fordham. I hate to disappoint anyone who comes through those doors, but discretion is paramount in this business.
Well, at least you know you can trust these women with your secrets.
Do you by chance have a girl named Ruby in your service?
Ruby? Yes, she's one of our newest girls. And she's not in any sort of trouble, is she?
Not at all. I merely wanted to speak with her.
Well, she should be in the dressing room. If you go through the rear door and follow the hallway down, it's the last door on the left.
I see. Thank you. Did you know Percival McDonough?
The politician? I knew who he was, but never met him personally.
He was seeing Ruby, wasn't he?
Not regularly, no. In fact, his first and only visit with her was yesterday.
Were you aware that he was murdered shortly after that?
I had no idea. How terrible.
Yes, it is terrible. This means she's lost a potential repeat customer.
This is a lovely establishment you have, and such a nice name, too.
Thank you, my dear. It wasn't always called the Gilded Lily, though. We were formerly known as Le Maison de Tolérance.
What inspired the name change?
That's a bit of a long story. Not worth getting into.
How long have you been operating?
Going on 25 years. Business has been good. There's a reason this is the world's oldest profession, you know.
So, how did you get into this business?
Like many of the other girls, it was the best of some bad options. I had no interest in being beholden to a husband. I may be a fallen woman, but better to fly and fall than to have your wings clipped.
You enjoy the work?
It's a job like any other, Mr. Fordham. There are good days and there are bad days. But my girls are my family. We take care of each other. I couldn't ask for anything better.
Thank you for your time.
Of course, my dear.
Alright, I guess we'll go speak to Lily Ruby next. But we'll do that in the next episode. For now, thank you for watching. As usual, feel free to leave a comment, subscribe, like, all the good stuff. I'll be back with more Lamplight City as we head towards the end of the game. See you next time.